edition of Huddle Up with McCabe's Pub and Lounge. We are back, and this time we are back at McCabe's downtown. Tanner Struckman here from Husker Radio with you. Corey Anderson, how are you doing, sir?
Doing great today.
Great. It is Thursday. We are geared up. Playoff football. We're going to talk about that. We got the Huskers coming up this weekend. We got volleyball this weekend for the Big Red. And we've got Nash Ackerman from McCabe's Pub and Lounge. How are you?
Doing good.
We are inside the Husker hype zone here on this Thursday. It's the if you missed one of our earliest videos, I think our first one we did right here. This is the back, I don't know, raised area. Kind of almost a private room it could be.
Yeah, we refer to it as the lounge or kind of the hype zone. A couple people have some nicknames for it, but we typically refer to it as the lounge here.
It's got monster TVs. You can see this behind me. This is where you could watch the game on Saturday if you'd like, or any game, because any game is always on at McCabe's Pub and Lounge, and it's time to get Huddle Up going for. This is week 9 for high school. And week 8 for NFL, and at least week 8 for college. I think week 7 for NFL. I think is right how that works. And we are down to the point where we're almost ending the high school football season. In fact, some high school football seasons are done already in the 8-man ranks if you didn't make the playoffs. So a lot to cover. We'll go back to picks last week. Corey 1-3. We all messed up. We all missed Nebraska, by the way. We all got Nebraska because we all picked Minnesota to cover. And, of course, they definitely did. It's easy to cover when you win.
Yeah,
and you're underdogs at home. Tell you what, Vegas missed that one, didn't they?
Just a little bit.
Just a little bit. So that was the one you got right. The only one you got right was picking Nebraska to not cover. We did, however, all say we thought they were going to win, and that unfortunately didn't happen. Nash, you go 2-2. I went 3-1, so I got a 2-game lead on you. I'm 18-14, Nash 16-16. So if you went to Vegas, you'd only pay the juice. That's it. You'd lose out on a couple bucks every pick. So
that's right.
That's not a bad way to go though to Vegas.
Yeah, it's better than losing.
It's better than losing a lot. Corey, you sit at 12-20, still anybody's game as we enter here the back half of college football and into the final of high school football here. We'll make our picks coming up here in just a little bit. Nebraska, I don't know, do we even mention it? 24-6 on Friday? That was just disgusting. Would you agree?
Ugly. Putrid.
Unexpected, too.
There's a lot of bad terms to describe that.
I was in the middle of a high school game, so thankfully couldn't pay attention that much. Didn't miss a thing, apparently, because the Big Red just laid a big old egg. And good news is I don't think Penn State wants Matt Rule, so, he's not going anywhere now, I would think. But I don't know, 5-2. We'll see where Nebraska can go from here. It kind of feels like now Nebraska's like, are we going to get to a bowl? And it still feels like we can win 9 wins, But it also feels like, gosh, we got to get that 6th win. And this might be the easiest one left against Northwestern this weekend. We'll make that pick coming up in a bit. But who's ready for some high school football playoffs? Because we've got that tonight. It's pretty exciting.
Ready or not, got a good one going as Maxwell visits Mullen. I'm really looking forward to that. It was a 2-point game in favor of Mullen 3 weeks ago.
Right.
When they met, and Maxwell obviously wants to even that out and extend their season.
That's right. And that gets into our coverage. We've got coverage of that tonight on KX 104. It's a 7 o'clock Central, 6 Mountain up there in Mullen. But, it was 34-32 in the first meeting. Maxwell's the 22 seed, Mullen's the 11. They went away from the East-West first round in D1 and D2 this year. And Maxwell and Mullen, boy, that worked out for them this year, though, as they still got the West. They got each other, which if you look at some of the other matchups, oh, boy, can there be some travel. So those two, I'm sure, are very fortunate and probably both feeling pretty good about the matchup because they both think, hey, we can win this. Mullen did, and Maxwell was in 2 points. You want a first opportunity to get a win. Maxwell, by the way, been to the playoffs 4 straight years, have not won a playoff game since 2015, though. So they've got a drought there. Mullen, 24th straight year. They're in like the top 10 for consecutive playoff appearances in the state all time. It's pretty impressive what they've done. They were one and done last year, though, but I think this should be a good one. And I know you got the call for that one. That should be a fun game. Jesse Reyes, I wish you could have done that first game because you didn't get to do that one, right?
Right.
He had a 5-touchdown day for Maxwell, so that should be a great matchup, a fun one for the opening round of playoffs. I'll have coverage of St. Pat's at Johnson Brock, a game you can watch at McCabe's if you'd like. That should be a tough matchup for the Irish. They didn't get a great draw, I don't think. It's a 4.5-hour road trip. So to Johnson we go. If you've ever been to Johnson, southeast Nebraska is where it's at. So long road trip. That'll be on KODY live video at huskerradio.com. And if you're rooting for the West, a lot of us like to root for the Western teams. You know, it's West or die, it seems like. Perkins County plays at Thayer Central. Dundee County Stratton hosts Elkhorn Valley. Bridgeport hosts Clarkson Lee, and Kimball goes to Crofton. That's a long 425-mile trip for Kimball to Crofton, in case you're wondering, the longest road trip in the 8-man playoff football game. So, you know, long road trips. It's when you get to know your brothers on your team on those buses, right?
That's right, and then it's funny you say that because all these smaller schools, you know, get into these long road trips, and I've been watching the North Platte High boys. We're back and forth to Lincoln every other weekend.
Right.
So, I mean, it's, you know, 3.5 or 4 hours there. I'm sure on a bus it's every bit of 4 hours
Right.
and 4 hours straight back. So they really get to know each other on them trips.
You add 30 minutes on a bus guaranteed to a
Right.
normal drive, and you might stop to add even more time. Speaking of that, man, so 8-man playoffs tonight start. All of them play tonight if they're in the playoffs. If they're not, their season is done. But tomorrow, we get to the final week of regular season action for 11 and 6-man. There, we'll say Paxton does wrap up their season tonight with undefeated Southwest. That is in Paxton. But then tomorrow, North Platte wraps up their season. They get Lincoln High. The Lynx, right? Is that the Lynx? Lincoln High Lynx?
Yeah. You got it.
There you go. They come in 5-3. Bulldogs 1-7. Of course, had to go up against Millard South last week. But credit to the Bulldogs for making the trip and playing that game, because that was one of the better teams that, you know, maybe has played in the state of Nebraska in a long time. And now Lincoln High tonight, or tomorrow night, I should say, home for the Bulldogs. Love to send out that group with a win here in their final game.
Yeah, I think they're going to come out firing, and it sounds like they're ready to go. You know, like they're coming off of a tough week. That Millard South team was pretty good. I ended up watching that actually here in the lounge, so I had, you know, front row seat on the big screen, and it was rough. I know the boys came home pretty beat up, but you know, they did their best, and that's a good squad that they got down there in Millard South. I wouldn't be surprised if they walk away with the state title this year, but
Yeah.
looking forward to a home game. You know, it's getting a little cold out, so it's gonna be a frigid one. But you know, I think the boys are gonna be ready to go.
Send them mountain style. Head out to Bowerfield. If you can make it, of course, come down here to McCabe's Pub and Lounge. You got Hershey, Mitchell. Hershey goes to Mitchell out west. Hershey right now at 5-3. If they were seeded now, they'd be 14 in C2. They lost a really close one to Kearney Catholic last week. It was a great game. I think they'll be in the playoffs with a win. I think they'll be on the road, though. I was kind of doing the math. It just from my quick math, didn't look like they'd get a home playoff game. But I think they'll be a playoff team if they can win out in Mitchell. It's not an easy place to go. It's a long road trip. It's going to be cold out there, but I think Hershey should be able to pick up the win and get that one. And then Wallace, a team that we may be covering along with Hershey in just a couple weeks, 6-1 at SEM. That might be like a pre-playoff game. That's almost like a tease there, Corey.
It's possible they could match up in the playoffs, certainly in 6-man, where they just take the top 16 and bracket them from there. This will be tough. I've seen both teams, and you know, edge to SEM, but SEM probably I'm guessing they got banged up pretty well against Southwest,
Right.
which a lot of people are pointing to them as being the favorites to win it all this year.
I was going to say, if you look at common opponents, it's pretty even. There is maybe a slight edge on SEM, but winner probably gets a home playoff game too, and the other one doesn't. So this will be a huge game there, and that is at SEM tomorrow night for the Wallace Wildcats. So we're getting down to just a few games to talk about in the high school world, and hopefully next week we've got a whole bunch of playoff teams to be able to talk about. But let's get into our picks. What do you say? Should we make some picks, guys?
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
All right, we got some picks here today. Before we do that, though, let's make a mention of McCabe's, because you've got a schedule this weekend for what you guys are going to have on the big screens.
Yes. So Friday night we got Husker volleyball. I don't have down who we're playing that night. I'm getting it mixed
Northwestern.
up. Yep. And do you know what time by chance?
That is I should know this off the top of my head,
I think it's a 7:00 game on Friday night.
but I believe you're right. Yeah.
Okay. So 7:00 we got the Husker game going, and then Saturday we also have back-to-back nights of Husker volleyball. I believe that's also an evening game.
Yeah.
But it'll be the football game will be actually before that at 11. But for all three games, we got a little bit of a special going. We got 6-ounce Coors Light buckets. We're doing a 6 for $12 on that.
Very good.
All day long on Saturday, and then also Friday night during the Husker game. And then also kind of during the Husker game, Saturday we have the Downtown Association's doing a Halloween walk for the kids. It's sponsored by McCabe's, and we'll be passing out some candy and just trying to show the kids a good time. And that'll be from 12 to 2.
It's a big one. There's a lot of kids that come down to that. So.
Oh yeah. So come down, watch the game. Be a good time.
Yeah, maybe the wife takes kids through the walk and you come in here and
absolutely.
you watch the game on your own.
That sounds like a good idea to me.
As a dad of 4, if you can ever get a quiet Husker football game, that's a good day. But nevertheless, it should be a busy downtown McCabe's Pub and Lounge. Let's get into some picks now. As I mentioned, I got a 2-game lead right now, but it's still anybody's. We'll start with Ole Miss at Oklahoma. Oklahoma, 5.5-point favorites at home over Ole Miss, who just continues to stay around. Corey, what do you got for us on this one?
I'm going with Ole Miss. You're asking us whether we're picking against the spread, right?
Yes, sir.
So, toss-up really, and I haven't watched Oklahoma that much. I just got a feeling Ole Miss is going to play strong in this one and at the very least, beat the spread, if not pull a little bit of an upset.
I'm going to have to agree with him. I think it's going to be a tight game either way, and I'm not sure who's going to come out on top, but I don't think either team covers that 5.5 either way. So I'm going to have to take Ole Miss against the spread.
Oklahoma and Ole Miss both 6-1. That's an 11 a.m. game early there in Norman. I'm going to go with the Norman Magic, Oklahoma. I don't know. We've had a lot of Ole Miss games, and of course. We all picked, I think, Ole Miss last week, and that kind of bit us. So I'm going to, sorry, Lane. I'm going against you, Oklahoma. Texas A&M at LSU. It's an interesting one because A&M, quite a bit highly ranked. LSU, they lose this, they're not going to be ranked. Brian Kelly's job may be, if he loses this, he might be done. A&M, 2.5-point favorites at LSU. Corey, it's a pretty good matchup there in the SEC.
It will be a good game. Last week, another Texas team had their season hopes of going undefeated dash. That was Texas Tech. This week, Texas A&M has gone down, in my opinion. I'm going to pick the Tigers.
All right, LSU there at home. That's obviously a really tough place to play. That is a night game, too. LSU, Baton Rouge at 6:30 is about as good of an atmosphere as you get.
Yeah, and I think I got A&M here. I think A&M's going to come out ready to go, and they're gonna throw the old upset down there and in LSU. It's in LSU, right?
It is.
Yep.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Oh, yeah, I think they're going to come out on top.
LSU home dogs. That doesn't happen too often. How on underdogs at home? That's a rarity in Baton Rouge. I'm going with LSU on this. I just think A&M. In this day and age, they're 7-0. At this point, they can lose this game and still be very much so in the college football playoff. They could lose twice yet. This is one thing I don't like about the college football playoff, but we won't get into that. But I'm going to say they kind of overlooked this one, and LSU gets the win. Maybe even just covers by a point. I don't know, or 2 points. We'll get into Nebraska in a moment. Let's get a quick one in the NFL because I know we got a Cowboys fan here. We got a lot of Broncos fans in the area. Dallas at Denver. Denver only 3-point favorites at home. Dallas kind of figuring it out a little bit, Corey.
Well, the defense played a little bit better against Washington last week. I was happiest about that. The offense is humming right along. They did get CeeDee Lamb back, but the Broncos have perhaps the best defense in the NFL, although they didn't really show it the first 3 quarters last week. But there are a bunch of playmakers on the Broncos side. I expect they will have some things to rattle Dak a little bit, namely stunts and blitzes that will make it more difficult for Dallas to score, and just enough offense for Denver. So I'm picking them to cover that 3-point spread.
All right, Denver over Dallas at home. What do you got?
Denver was the upset against New York, weren't they, last week?
Denver came back and won that game.
Came back, sorry,
yes.
Not necessarily.
Unbelievable game.
Okay, I was just saying, I thought
Denver's
I saw the
had some finishes this year that has put cardiac arrest into Denver fans.
Right.
There's got to be some cardiologists in the Denver area. They're making money, but
right. And I think on that note, I think Denver's going to carry on that momentum. I think they're just going to come out and probably not want to have to do that again. So I think they're just going to, like you said, Corey, I think their defense is probably the best in the NFL, and I think they're going to be ready to go. They're going to have a good game plan.
If it's close, it's got to be Denver because what they've done at the end I mean, that game against New York was unbelievable. They scored like 33 points in the fourth quarter alone. It was just a wild finish. I got Denver carrying this one on as well. I think I don't know if they're quite ready to supplant the Chiefs in the AFC West because I think the Chiefs are starting to figure it out and they're playing really good. But I think Denver is going to be a fun team to watch and should be a playoff team. So I'm going with Denver as well. All right, final one. Nebraska, of course, home against Northwestern. It's now down to 7-point spread there. We're picking against the spread, Corey. Huskers, Wildcats. Does Nebraska bounce back and better? More importantly, do they cover?
They might bounce back, but they won't cover if they bounce back. They'll barely beat them. This 10 of the 13 matchups between these teams since Nebraska joined the Big Ten have been one-score games. This will be another one, but I don't see Nebraska covering the spread. So got to pick Northwestern at least to beat the spread.
All right. I have a feeling I know where this one's going, Nash.
Yeah, I gotta agree. I'm hoping we're gonna win. I have a good feeling we're gonna win, but it's gonna be tight, and we're not gonna cover that spread.
What the heck? I'm going Nebraska. I picked against us in our last week. I'm going to go with Nebraska. I don't know. I do feel like this team's capable of easily winning by more than a touchdown if they can put it together. Obviously, the game plan's got to be. I think last week was just an awful week. For the Matt Rule to Penn State rumors to begin. You're playing on a tough place. PJ Fleck owns Nebraska. He's now 7-1. You had to play on a Friday night. It's just one of those quirky games. And then you get all the Matt Rule, speculation, which to his own fault, he didn't shut down either. And that's something he probably regrets. Maybe not. Maybe he's still going to Penn State. I don't know. But I think Nebraska bounces back. It's a home game. I think Nebraska seems like they're a much different team at home. I'm going with Nebraska at covering the 7-point spread. That might be a bit of a gamble, but what the heck? That's what we're here for, right? Let's have some fun with it. And don't forget, you can watch them all at McCabe's Pub and Lounge. Husker Hype Zone's always open. I think they said you had a couple parties in here last night. This is a great room. If you've got an event you want to showcase, Husker Hype Zone's a great place for it.
Absolutely, yeah. We had a party come last week for the game, and they rented the whole space and had a great time. We kind of had a little bit of a buffet-style food set up for them, and, we kind of have a lot of options. So if you're interested in that, give us a call, and we'll see what we can do for you.
Any sort of company events, fun parties you're going to have, holiday parties, that season's coming around the corner. You want to book those, you can.
Absolutely, yeah. Anything you guys want to do. We've had a paint and sip in here. We had I believe it was a Money 101 from one of our local financial advisors last night, or sorry, not last night, but Tuesday night. So we got a lot going on here. We got a lot to offer, and any questions or concerns you have, just let us know. We'll try to accommodate you the best we can.
McCabe's Pub and Lounge downtown, our sponsor for Huddle Up every week. Enjoy the football, gentlemen. Have yourself a good one. Enjoy your playoff game, Corey. All right.
Thanks, Tanner.
It should be a fun one, and I'll enjoy mine as well. And go Big Red this weekend. Good to talk to you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
That's Huddle Up with McCabe's Pub and Lounge.